Hello, this is the section 3.5 lesson. In this very short lesson, we're going to talk about adding and subtracting negative numbers. Now, there's three questions we might ask ourselves when it comes to adding and subtracting negative numbers. Number one, why would we add and subtract negative numbers in the first place? Number two, how do we actually add and subtract negative numbers? And then third, why does this method or this collection of methods work? Now, as far as question 2, I'm going to assume that we remember how to add and subtract negative numbers, or at least that it'll come back to us as we do a few problems. As far as question number 3, explaining why this method works, I think the book does a really good job of explaining why it works. So in this lesson, I'm not going to go over the why it works. We'll briefly review how to add and subtract negative numbers. What I want to focus on in this lesson is number 1. Why would we add and subtract negative numbers in the first place? And we're going to illustrate that with a couple of word problems. So let's look at this first example. In an underground parking garage, Marcus parked his car on the 5th level below ground. Marcus then walked up 3 levels to meet Sam. On what level below ground did Marcus meet Sam? So let's look over our problem here. And it says that he parked his car the 5th level below ground. Well, we talk about below ground. That indicates a negative number. But then he says that he walked up 3 levels. Well, that means we're going to add 3 to the level. And then the question is, on what level did they meet? And so to set this up, we're going to start off with the number -5 to indicate that he started below ground, 5 levels below ground. And then he walked up 3 levels. And so the question is, what level is he on now? So there is an equation that fits naturally with this word problem that involves taking a negative number and then adding a positive number. So there's an example of why we would want to add negative numbers. Okay, so now how do we do this? Well, one way to think about this is doing it on a number line. So let's just draw a simple number line here. Let's put 0 over here, -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. And so then to add -5 plus 3, well, let's start off here at a -5, and then we're going to add 3, 1, 2, 3, and so there we go, there's our answer. So the answer is -2, and so that means that we're going to meet 2 levels below ground. And so there's our answer. So there's an example illustrating why we would want to add negative numbers and then how to do it. Okay. Now our second example doesn't have anything to do with negative numbers, but we're going to use this to motivate our solution to the last problem or to the next problem that does involve negative numbers. So Mary has 12 teddy bears, Anna has 5 teddy bears. How many more teddy bears does Mary have than Anna? Okay. So Mary has 12, Anna has 5. How many more does Mary have than Anna? So this is a compare story problem. Back a couple of sections ago when we talked about different types of word problems involving addition, one type is what we called a compare. This is an example of a compare. And so to compare these, we're going to take the number that Mary has, which is 12, and then we're going to subtract the number that Mary has, and that equals how many more that Mary has than Anna. And so then we do that arithmetic. 12 minus 5 is equal to 7. So that's a simple problem, but the point here is that to solve this problem, we were comparing two quantities. We had a large quantity and a small quantity. And so to solve this, we took our large quantity and then we subtracted the small quantity, and that gave us our difference. Okay. So it's a compare story problem. We take our large minus the small, and that gives us our difference. Well, let's look at this last example. The temperature in Seward is 5 degrees Celsius. In Lincoln, the temperature is -3 degrees Celsius. how much warmer is the temperature in Seward than is Lincoln. Okay? So notice here that this is a compare story problem. We're comparing the temperature in Seward to the temperature in Lincoln. And we're asking how much bigger, how much warmer is that temperature in Seward than is Lincoln. So to solve this, we're going to take our big temperature, which is the 5 degrees, and then we're going to subtract the smaller temperature, which is a -3. So bigger minus smaller, that equals our difference. So here we see that we are subtracting a negative number. So here is an instance, specifically a compare story problem, that involves subtracting a negative number. Okay? Now, how can we actually do this arithmetic? Well, let's talk about one way of doing it on a number line. Let's put 0 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now to do this arithmetic, we could think as we're starting at the number 5, and then we look here and we see a negative sign. So on a number line, a negative means maybe we go to the left, but then we see this other negative sign, and so that suggests that we change directions. So this negative sign suggests going to the left, but this negative sign says nope, let's change directions, and so we're going to go to the right. So we start here at 5, we're going to go 1, 2, 3 to the right, and there's our answer, a +8. And so that tells us it's 8 degrees warmer in Seward than is Lincoln. Okay? So here's one way of doing this arithmetic on a number line. The book justifies this method a little bit more algebraically, but again, we'll let you read that from the book. So that's it for this section. Your assignment before next class is to read section 3.5 from the textbook.